Hello and welcome. You've seen the thumbnail, you've probably seen the Instagram post. This is going to be a kind of fond farewell to Warhammer 40,000 9th edition. If you're relatively new to Warhammer 40,000, then you may not know that it has a rule set and a collection of army specific rules for an edition. What you're seeing here are most of the codexes, and there's a rule book in the top left hand corner of 9th edition, which was released July of 2020, so almost 3 years ago. Every 3 years they do a refresh and we get to the next edition. Next weekend is going to be the release of 10th edition. This is a little bit of a sad video for me because this is probably going to be the last time you see this number of codexes for an edition, all in one place. And I've picked up each one of these codexes as the armies have been released and refreshed throughout the past 3 years. So that means that this is about 670, over £600 worth of books right here. I'm no stranger to new editions coming out, and I have many edition codexes all the way back from 2nd and 3rd edition throughout the years. Back then, codexes gave you both quality and content in the form of army showcases, painting guides, rules that were kind of rock solid that didn't need to be updated. This new edition coming into 10th will be digital rules. You'll be able to get all your codexes and data sheets and things online for free. That's a good thing on the whole, but there are some sacrifices, which we have already experienced in the video game world. Releasing rules too early just to be patched on the day one, monopolising the rules as well. And what I mean by that is they can pull any rules they like whenever they like. Pull units that you've spent many years or decades building and painting. They can remove them overnight. But also they will be releasing the codexes physically, so I'm interested to see what they've done with this new 10th edition and how it compares to 9th, because 9th was all about crusades, was all about levelling up your armies as you went along, with a backseat on pictures of armies, of painting guides, and they seem to have updated their rules an awful lot as 9th edition progressed. Some codexes are better than others. Not all codexes are created equal. Right here you see the standard edition codexes on the bottom of the picture. They are now £32.50 for a codex, which is quite a lot, you know, for a hardback book. Some of these are about 100 pages or so, probably even a little bit less than 100 pages. They're all made in China, whether you get special editions or standard, and I would have liked them to have had like a price point of, you know, £25, like a ceiling. But of course, everything's gone up. Wages have to go up to counteract that, and therefore products then go up. The top codexes are the special editions or limited editions. They're not numbered like the Age of Sigmar ones are, but they share the same features. They have page keepers, they have soft touch covers, they have different coloured page edges, and they're generally more aesthetically pleasing. The one thing that they did do in 9th edition though, which was absolutely fantastic, and that was to introduce page keepers into their standard editions. One of the very first codexes which would have benefited from this, that came out in October along with the Necrons codex, was the Space Marines codex. Not a big fan of the front art at all. It's a thick book. It's the thickest at 206 pages, but only slightly thicker than the Eldari codex, which is quickly catching up at 200 pages. But yes, partway through this edition they did introduce page keepers, which was a very welcome addition. You can see here with the Genestealer Cult codex, which only has 112 pages but still has a page keeper, and that's the bare minimum I would expect. Hardback, that size with a page keeper, 25 to 30 pounds. So the special editions at the top will cost you about 50 pounds or so, which is a huge amount of money. Are they really worth it? Are they really worth double the amount? That really depends on the individual and whether they collect the army, whether that's a main army. Sort of 3 different versions of codexes floating about. We had the standard editions, which are £32.50. We had the army set edition books, which is a new thing that was kind of introduced with Adeptus Sororitas back in November 2019. But here is an example of an army box set codex. It's got a soft touch cover, but no page edges and no page keeper. So it's kind of like a cross between a special edition, which has a soft touch, the page keeper and the page edges, and a unique kind of front cover, and the standard edition. Here's another army book. Again, doesn't say Chaos Knights on there, no page keeper, no page edges. So it's that go-between a special edition and a standard. Of course, some codexes are better than others. I use that word very, very broadly. Some are chocked to the brim with content, like the Eldari, like the Space Marines, even though I'm still not over Scouts being elites. And some have absolutely fantastic artwork back from when I was first introduced into the hobby. One of the biggest disappointments in this collection was the Imperial Armour Compendium. When I first discovered that they were releasing a compendium with all of your resin Forge World miniatures, I thought that's amazing, that's going to save so much money rather than releasing 3 individual hardback books. On reflection, I wish they had done that. For a number of reasons, but most of all, this is just a collection of data sheets. No extra background stories, no extra pictures, and what's also an insult is no pictures of the actual units themselves. Games Workshop, you could have just phoned me up and I could have taken some pictures or done that for you. Absolutely fine, but no, this is a multi-billion-dollar company. Don't put pictures in the books. £40 as well, so that was a big letdown, that one. I hope something arrives for 10th edition for resin miniatures for Forge World, because there are millions of people out there with Forge World models that have spent thousands on them, and they would most likely love a book, even if it's split like it was before for Chaos, Imperium and Xenos. That would be awesome. With some pictures, of course. Another takeaway from all of these releases and new codexes is the lack of new units. And what I mean by that is there are of course now some armies that have been around for 5-6 years, such as Death Guard, and sometimes they'll introduce a couple of new units, such as the Lord of Virulence, and likewise with Adeptus Custodes, they'll introduce Valerian and the Blade Champion. But there are a few that only introduce a couple, a very small number of new units for the release. And therein lies a little bit of a problem. Every edition, every 3 years, you get a new codex, and that new codex may only have a couple of new units in there. So the point I'm making is this new edition, 10th edition, means that they can release a codex and release miniatures whenever they like, and then they could just add the rules onto the, for free, the datasheet and things onto their online system, which is a huge bonus, rather than having to find the rules in a completely separate kind of campaign book, like we had with the Psychic Awakening and things. And that's a good thing. Also, updating the rules. It's a fantastic way of updating the rules. They can do that overnight. If there are any game balances and changes, they can just go about that. Of course, the only downside for that is whether they're going to feel inclined not to include all of the models, all of the rules and things in these upcoming 10th edition codexes, because they know that they can just rely on the online system to update. I know many people like books. I know many people like to get an army book and like to carry it around. But how many people, you know, have tablets? Yes, a lot of people have phones and things, but maybe phones aren't the best medium to be taken around to have games and things. Some of these rules are very complex and there's lots of special rules, and it's just more user-friendly for this game system to be able to flick through a book, flick through the rules and find what you're looking for, rather than having to scroll and click through numbers of different pages on an electronic device. So definitely pros and cons to this new 10th edition, but I thought it would be relevant for me to make this video and give you my thoughts and opinions, and also to showcase all of these codexes. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that supported this channel throughout these past 3 years. Some of these armies I would not have collected or picked up if it wasn't for you guys and if it wasn't for the channel. So thank you for your support. What do you guys think of 9th edition? The comment section is of course open. Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below, and what you'd like to see more of or improvements of in the 10th edition codexes. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.